I worked the night shift at a small hotel. This happened about a year ago. And I still think about it, almost every single day. The hotel was small. 3 floors. About 40 rooms. On weeknights, maybe 10 or 15 rooms were occupied. I worked 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Most nights were quiet. Boring, even. I'd sit at the front desk, do paperwork, check cameras. At night, the front doors locked automatically. If you wanted in, you had to buzz. So around 11 p.m., a man buzzed. I let him in. Mid-40s. Tall. Thin. Baseball cap pulled low. He was carrying a backpack. He walked up and asked for a room. I swiped his card. It went through. I handed him a key card for room 214. Normal. Routine. Nothing unusual. But then, right before he turned to leave, he stopped. And he just stared at me. Not for a second. A few seconds too long. His face was completely blank. No smile. No words. Just staring. It was subtle. But it made my skin crawl. About an hour later. I looked up. He was back in the lobby. Not at the desk. He was sitting on the couch. Staring at the TV. Except the TV wasn't on. The screen was completely black. No phone. No book. Not sleeping. Just sitting there in the dark. Staring at nothing. When I walked past, I could feel his eyes on me the entire time. I told myself it was fine. I told myself he just had insomnia or something. Around 1 in the morning. I checked his reservation. And it wasn't there. Room 214, listed as vacant. No check-in. No payment. Nothing. I checked the key card log. The room had never even been opened. He had never gone to the room. My stomach dropped. I looked over at the lobby. He was still just sitting there. Sitting in the dark. Staring at a black screen. That's when I went back through the earlier camera footage. He hadn't buzzed in at 11 p.m. He buzzed in at 9:45. Over an hour before he ever came to the desk. He had been inside the hotel this entire time. Wandering around. The check-in wasn't him trying to get a room. It was him creating a cover story. He disappeared from the lobby. He was standing in the dark hallway near the bathrooms. Then the stairwell. Then the vending machines. Just drifting. Standing still in dark corners. Watching. I called my manager. She told me to call the police if he did anything threatening. What does threatening look like? By 3:30 in the morning, I called the non-emergency line. While I was on hold, he started walking toward the desk. He stopped about 15 feet away. And just stood there. Not blinking. Not moving. Just staring. Then I looked at the cameras. He was standing outside a guest's room door. Room 108. A woman. Traveling alone. She just needed a few hours of sleep before getting back on the road. She had no idea he was standing right outside her door. I hung up. And called 911. He eventually came back to the desk. Calm. Quiet. He leaned over and asked if there was any food. My voice barely worked. Around 4:10 in the morning, the officers arrived. They questioned him. Searched his bag. And walked him out. The credit card was stolen. He had used a stolen card just to get through the front door. Inside his backpack, they found a notepad. On that notepad was a list of room numbers. Room 108 was on that list. For hours, this man had been inside that building. Going floor to floor. standing outside rooms, writing things down. And I had no idea. Not until it was almost over. I still don't know what he was planning. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder about the rooms that weren't on that list. Were they lucky? Or had he already finished with them? That was the scariest night of my life.